Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Well, I ended the last video when I was clearing my energy to make sure there was nothing else that was to be said. I felt this flow come into my body, and I said that there was a whole lot of information coming in, but I was told it wasn't for that video. And so this past week, to say that there's a whole lot of information that came in would be an understatement. So much so that I didn't really write stuff out. I just wrote keywords, and I figured I'd just look at those words and in my journal, and then allow the flow to come back and just show me what should be said in this video, because it's important that right now whatever information is meant to be conveyed is conveyed, and not too much, and it needs to be interpreted accurately. So if I try to say too much, I might miss information that's important to be conveyed. So there is a lot of information, and I'm just going to start and see whatever comes through, and however it comes through is how it's meant to be. So I was watching someone pull some tarot cards, and they pulled a whole bunch, but there were two cards that stood out very strong for me. And the first card was the King of Swords. It was from a tarot cards called Easy Tarot. And so the King of Swords, when I saw the card, the King of Swords is often depicted as a king sitting on a throne. And this King of Swords was sitting on a throne, but what I saw behind him, I didn't see a throne. What I saw, I was like, wow, there's a spaceman on this card. Oh, let me see, I pulled it off of, I found something I found the card on the internet. And so I'll do a picture-in-picture, but that's what the card looks like. So this here on the back, all I could see was a spaceman, what I would say an astronaut in an their suits that they go when they're outside the ship, right? And then all I could see was this yellow. It's a sun, but all I could see is it was the third eye. So it looked like a gentleman from outer space in a spacesuit, and then this bright yellow light right here at where I would call the third eye. And no matter how many times I looked at this card, all I could see was the king on the throne and the spaceman standing behind him with that really bright third eye. And then a flood of information started coming in. And what I wrote here is not what came in first. What I heard and what I saw was galactic intervention. When I saw the man standing behind the King of Swords, I saw galactic intervention. And so what that told me was galactic intervention is going to start at this point. So there is, when I first started doing my videos, I said that there is all other beings have no place here, and they need to leave Earth and the surrounding areas, space around us. Only the raptors and gladiolas, those beings in the water, had a place here, but no one else, no other beings, no other aliens, no other beings who are not of this planet, who are not born on this planet, have any place here, and they need to go. Okay, that's what I had said at the beginning. Throughout this whole time, there was too much intervention from outside sources that were creating more problems. There would have been a natural flow that happened on Earth that would have brought us to this place that we're in of transition and transcendence. It would have, if all this intervention did not take place, all these beings from other worlds coming to our world. But that's not what happened. This is what we're dealing with, right? So I had said that, spoke those words, that there were to be no other beings that were not born on this earth intervening with this phase of transcendence, what we're going through. And so that would have been back in 2020. So as of this vision that I had on the 5th, the message came to me was that there would now be a galactic intervention. And that was triggered by, I don't really watch the news, and I don't seek information. Information comes to me. And what came to me in the form of a video that I was watching somewhere was that there was an EMP dropped or detonated near Bangladesh. And that, so what was also brought to my attention is that Bangladesh is the second largest producer of textiles or fabrics on the planet, China being number 1. Okay, and that when this EMP was activated, detonated, it put out their power grid. Hold on just a minute. And so the population of Bangladesh is 164 million. 164.7 million. And so their whole power grid went down. And so what came to me was there was suffering. People were suffering. 164 million people were suffering. And this is because of some type of economic war battle, right? So China's number 1, Bangladesh is number 2. Companies are moving their investments to Bangladesh to buy fabrics, and China's losing the market, okay? And therefore, they're threatened, their economy's threatened, and so they're attacking Bangladesh through this means. Okay, so what was also stated was that EMPs can't be tracked, right? So nobody knows for sure who activated or this EMP. We can assume, because Bangladesh is a threat, right, to China, that China did it, but we don't know, right? There's no certainty. So I'm not bringing this up to bring up politics or economics. Okay, I'm bringing this up to reiterate that we will be moving away from currency, from money, from dollars, because Wherever there is currency, there is a battle to have the most, to be the most powerful. Okay? Money is power. Money is power over people, land, countries, right? Resources. We're moving away from that. There will be no currency. There will be no cryptocurrency. There will be no quantum currency. Okay? People are suffering because of ego, because of power and control. And I don't want to get into the politics of all of this, but there is a hierarchy. There are hierarchies within hierarchies. There are power structures within power structures. And so much of this is hidden because there was some type of determination or decision made by people of power that the people should not know certain things, that they were going to withhold certain information to protect us because these were truths that we couldn't handle, or we maybe didn't need to know in their estimation, right? But by information is power, right? By them knowing and us not knowing empowers them and disempowers us, okay? So this infrastructure, these hierarchies within hierarchies are going to be dismantled, okay? And I don't want to make it seem like this EMP was a catalyst. This was eventually going to happen. This is all about timing, divine timing, and this is about cycles, beginning and ending. So we're ending a cycle and we're starting a new cycle. And this timing, these synchronicities are not random. They're not coincidences. They are part of the divine plan. They are part of the infrastructure, or not infrastructure. They're part of the framework that we're working from in this universe. So the framework is the same, but the small pieces, the moving pieces will vary based on decisions. I don't normally make predictions for the future because every choice we make changes our future outcome, right? So the framework will remain the same, but each piece is going to vary. It's going to change a little bit or a lot based on the decisions we make. Okay? So I don't want to say that the EMP, that this particular circumstance was the catalyst for this intervention. But I will say there are events occurring at this present time that have in some way indicated to this galactic community that it's time for intervention. Okay? And when I say that it's time for intervention, it's not going to be, I know this, it's not going to be spaceships coming in and creating change on the planet. Okay? They're not going to come in and say, we're here to help you. That's not how this is going to work. As I've said in the past, the raptors and the beings in the water, Gladiola and her people, are part of this transition, and they will be helping us as we move through this part of transcendence. Okay? Tribulation, actually. This would be considered tribulation, a part of transcendence. And so, what I saw was water rising. The water's rising. And Gladiola and her people, they have the ability to control water. Okay? There are many beings in the water that are not of Earth, but live peacefully. Okay, we're the problem. Humanity is the problem right now. Gladiola and her people watch over those beings in the water. So in the last video, I need to go back to this for a minute. I talked about the men, this new archetype, this new spiritual warrior based on the foundations that were set by the Knights of Templar, then the Special Forces, and we will evolve into a new version of spiritual warrior. And I don't know if people would consider the men in Special Forces spiritual warriors, but that's what they were, or that's what they've been. Just like I don't know if people would consider the Knights of Templar spiritual warriors, but that's what they were. And we will evolve. But what I said was eventually post-transcendence that eventually we will have a new spiritual warrior, and they will go out to these worlds that humanity has had a hand in conquering or oppressing as a result of contracts that were made with this Alpha Draco. And humanity will have to go out and be accountable and right those wrongs and be pivotal in their in the freedom, in the freeing of these worlds. Okay, but these men who will be going out will be connected from birth to source energy. There will be no separation like we have now from childhood, from very young age, where we're separated from that source energy, from our divine connection. Okay, that won't happen. They will grow, and as they grow, they will know and understand their path and purpose, and it is their choice to follow their path and purpose, and they will go out and be spiritual warriors in this endeavor. And what I also said was they needed to connect to that source energy, to that divine source energy, and know that this is what's being asked of them, that it is being asked of them to go out, and should they need to wield a weapon and be aggressive in any way, they need to know that that is what is being asked of them on their path and purpose, and they need to be able to step into their hearts and drive forward from that place, from heart and from balance, and fulfill their soul purpose. And that will protect them from any karmic consequences that might arise should they be required to wield a weapon. Okay, that will protect them from karmic consequences. They will have no karmic consequences because that is what's being asked of them from the divine. Okay, they will not be driving from ego. They will not be driving from separation. They will be driving from their connection to the divine source, and they will be, and it is part of this act of compassion to free these people from the binds, the bondage and the restrictions, oppression, confines of these lives that we've placed them in. Okay, and I only bring that up because Gladiola and her people have control of the water, and the rising of the water will be at the request of the divine. Okay, this is not punishment. Okay, when this negative polarity drops the EMP, takes out the power source for 167 million people in a city, the the suffering that's happening to those people. I don't know what the weather circumstances are, or, you know, whether it's hot or cold, what kind of like food, all that stuff that's consequential to just the power going down. I don't know, but I know I can feel many people are suffering because of someone's ego. You're taking their business and they're gonna make you suffer. That's coming to an end. And this is the hard message for me to say, but I have to say it. You will not harm my people any longer. You will not. You will not say. You will not determine how they pass back to the light. You will not determine their journey home. That is for me to decide, not you. And then I saw the water rising on the earth. And that is at the request of the divine. This is part of their path and purpose. It's a freeing of humanity. And then I said in the past I wasn't sure what was going to happen to people that were holed up in the inner earth, underground, but I have a friend who I met in 2018, I think, who talked to me about the aquifers. I think that's what they're called, aquifers in the earth, which I didn't know about. I didn't know much about inner earth, but I had this vision about the magnetic fields around earth, and I drew it. And I asked him, I said, do you know what this is? Because I don't know what this is. And he said, yeah, those are the magnetic fields around Earth. And then he started talking about the magnetic fields around Earth and inner Earth. And it was a very interesting conversation. Just somebody I met. He actually used to come to a meetup group that I had. And we had a conversation about that. And he talked to me about the aquifers. So those and what he told me was there's more water in the earth than there is on the surface of the earth. And Earth is a water planet. I've said that in the past. Earth is a water planet. Earth is not for land walkers. You know, Earth is not is meant for beings in the water. I think before the moon came and became part of our started orbiting around Earth, I think Earth was completely covered with water. If I'm not mistaken, I read that somewhere and I can't remember where, and I'm sorry, I wish I could source that. I wish I could point out the source, but I remember hearing that somewhere. But anyway, Earth is a water planet. It's not a land planet. The continents are basically tectonic plates, right? So I think before I get into more stuff, I need to talk about the star card, because there's so much information. And before I started this video, I just asked for help. Please help me order this information, because it's so much. It's so much, and it's so overwhelming. It's very difficult for me to discuss, only because I'm concerned with how people could respond to the information. I am, and I've said it before, if I go out in a flood, if I go out in fire, however I go, I know it's a doorway to another life, and I know that I return to source in some way, and as soon as I release this body, there will be a connection and a knowing and an understanding that I will help me end this life and move into the next. And I'm confident and comfortable with that. So this discussion doesn't upset me, but I know it will upset other people. So that's why it's hard. That's the only reason why it's hard to say, because my intention isn't to upset people. My intention is to empower, and to give empower through knowledge. Okay, so I said there were two cards in this tarot spread that I was watching somebody else do a reading of, and the other one was the star. Okay, and so I'll do a picture-in-picture for these also. And what came with the star was water, gladiolus, cyclops. So because of this star here, and because of this star here on the top of the King of Swords, there's also a star on her third eye, right there. Oops, right there. And then there are just little stars all over this card, right? And there are stars, you can't see them, but there's stars on the back of this, okay? In the background, he's in space, right? And so I see star, water, gladiolus, cyclops, third eye, water, flow, transition, and then there's flight came in also. So as I was sitting, okay, so I'm just gonna say, as I'm looking at this card and I'm seeing the water, so this is the star. She has two chalices or pitchers, and she's pouring water, and she's standing in a lake or a river, a lake or a body of water. This vase has a star in it. So all I'm seeing are stars and sun and light, water, flow, movement. I'm seeing the circle here, the cycles, starting and ending a cycle. You know, there's a planet back here. There's just flow, cycles, change. So the water's going to rise. And I don't know. I wrote, let me just read this and then I'll see what comes to me. So I also wrote here, the Sun card is the number 17 card in the tarot, which comes down to 8, and which talks about solid foundations. There is a rising star, a second star, in the sky or on earth? Question mark. The sea. It's another world within an alternate. It is another world with an alternate source of energy. Sister, brother, to soulless, father, son. Oh, I forgot about that. So this is so overwhelming, I can't even. So this sun, what I saw when I saw this star up here was a second star. A sister or a brother to, I call father, son, sometimes I call him soulless. And it's an alternative source of energy. And I cannot say how that will manifest for us, but that was very strong. And the reason why it's and so unsettling for me, right? Another sun, another source of energy, I'm not certain what that means. Oh, and then it went into the earth, the heart of the earth. There's some source of energy in the earth. So it's not going to be another sun showing up in our solar system, but there's another source of energy in the earth. It's for us. It's for transcending humanity. It's not for this current power structure that's in place. It's for us as we move through transcendence, as we finish complete transcendence. There's a trinity. I said there is a trinity of stars. There is a trinity on the card, and so I'm not. So I wish I had something better to show you, but this star up here, there's two stars, left and right here. Okay, sorry. And then from her third eye, it creates another triangle. Okay, here. All right. So there are trinities all over the place on that card. There's trinities on this too, top, right, and to the left of the throne. And so it's water, earth, air. And there will be an alchemical reaction. The gladiola and her people are water. Raptors represent earth, and humanity is air. So I asked about fire, and I asked about ether, and from a different perspective, we have the beings in the heart of the planet who represent water, fire, air, earth, and then I represent ether in that paradigm, in that structure. But this is a different structure that's coming to the surface of earth, right? That is coming into the reality of earth. It's coming into earth's energy field, where Gladiolas and her people will be the source of water energy. Raptors, earth, and humanity will be air, right? So water, emotion, earth, grounding, air, thought, right? Air represents thought. And so when I asked about fire and ether, I was told it's not appropriate right now. That information is not appropriate to be disclosed. And so what I think is very important to note is that this is not Gladiolas and her people making this decision to bring the water up. That is source energy coming in to create the change that this world needs to transcend. And so the question always comes back to, what do you put your faith in? what did you put your faith in? And this is over many lifetimes. This isn't just this lifetime. But I think in most cases, the choices that people made in this lifetime were the same choices they made in past lives. Okay. So I have here source energies coming in. There will be no suffering. So what's happening with this negative polarity, with this cabal energy, is they are torturing and making people suffer to control. It's the equivalent of whipping, you know, like whipping slaves, okay, which has been done over time, thousands of years, right? And they work you to death. It's a slow, painful death, right? That's not what's going to happen. But that's what they're doing. These actions is what they're doing, okay? This action of the water rising, it says, the notes I have is a subtle action of water and natural earth grumblings. So some of the stuff I didn't write notes on was the water's rising, but our land is toxic. Our food is toxic. Our water is toxic. Our air is toxic. That's where the illness comes from. It doesn't come from anything else other than the toxic nature of the world that we're living on right now. Okay, and they've toxified it intentionally. Okay, to keep us in fear, to keep us under control, to keep us under control emotionally, to keep us under control with procreation. Okay. And so the water is clearing and cleansing the planet. And I will say from personal experience, anytime I am fully submerged in the water, whether it's an ocean or a lake, freshwater or salt water, if it's a natural body of water, my body is completely cleared. My intuitive knowing is like hitting, it's like on fire. It's like there's extreme clarity with messages that are coming in, and they come in fast. And after I'm out of the water, it'll stay that way for a week or two, but then it slowly starts. I have to work much harder. Let's just put it that way. I have to work harder. My disciplines are imperative in maintaining clarity in the messages that come in. But if I'm in the water every day, that would be my if I could get in the water every day, that would be my discipline, because that maintains all the clarity I need to receive the messages I'm meant to receive from a place of balance. Okay, it's amazing. Okay, so the water is gonna rise and it's gonna clear the planet. It's gonna cleanse the planet. And all those caverns in the earth that are open, that don't have water, that many of these negative polarity people, individuals have moved to, will be filled with water. I didn't know how they were going to remove these beings from the planet, but that's the message that came. It's like they think they're safe, that they've usurped the divine, that they've gotten what they wanted, and now they've done the best they could to maintain control, but since they don't have control, they're just going to go in this cavern and live their lives the way they choose and escape punishment. That's not going to happen, because the will of divine is being played out. We are all accountable for our actions. And no energy that does not vibrate at the same level as Mother Earth can remain on this planet. They can't remain here. okay? Whether they fly off the planet, they leave the planet, or they pass and move back to the light, they cannot remain here. And so this is part of the clearing and cleansing of this planet, is the water rising and moving out. The other thing that came was, I was talking about the geography changing in the last video, and I was like, islands? Are there going to be islands popping up? What's going to happen? There's so many islands. Who's going to notice an island popping up, right? There's so many islands in Polynesia, like across the planet. There's so many islands you can't count them, right? What's the big deal? That's what I asked. I'm like, nobody's going to notice an island. And then what came in is like, it's not going to be an island. What you're going to see are continents. A continent coming up. And I was like, wow. Okay, if a continent comes up, that means that's really going to shift the water. And water's really going to rise. And what does that mean? And that means that there's going to be new land, the water's going to rise, and our whole planet will be changing. But what also came, which was, that's where this came in, the light workers. So as this continent comes up, what the message that came to me was it would be tended by beings of love and light. And I was like, okay, that's nice. Who are the beings of love and light? Paladins of love and light, actually. Paladins of love and light. Who determines who those paladins of love and light will be? And then it went, I went out into space. I went out into this galactic community. And they're like, no, beings of love and light, each world will choose paladins to come and tend to this continent. And so that goes back to some of my older videos where I talked about how our DNA would eventually be housed in all beings in the universe. So our DNA is being placed in these hybrid children. And these hybrid children, everybody thought the hybrid children were all coming to Earth. They're not all coming to Earth. The hybrid children are being seeded with our DNA to take back to their worlds. Okay, so Balky is my son. He comes from a world that's from the negative. Okay, his skin is completely black. I've talked to him before. Talked to you about him before. It's completely ebony, just a beautiful ebony skin. And his eyes, the whites of his eyes are white, and then the iris and the pupil are black. And as a toddler, his hair was true red, like a redhead, right? Like that orange, like what people would mostly associate with a redhead, that typical red. And as he grows and goes through puberty, it darkens, and eventually his hair will be black, just like his skin and everything else, and only the whites of his eyes are white. But his world is transcended into darkness, right? Into the negative. And so he has been seeded with my DNA, and he will take that energy back to his world and start planting that seed of change to move into balance, okay? And so our DNA is being planted across the universe, okay? And as we do that, this world is the catalyst for change and transition across the universe to create balance across the universe, okay? That is what Earth is here for. That is why Earth exists in this universe. It is ground zero. It's point A for change and moving the universe into balance. Okay? So, but at the same time, Earth is going to truly be a melting pot for the universe. This world is going to be a place where all beings in the universe can exist. Okay? They can come here and exist. And so, when that information came in, it was like we will have beings from other worlds coming to tend this continent and bring plants, animals, they'll bring marine life, insects, soil, whatever is from their world to our world to start creating the change that is needed so that they will be able to exist on our world. Okay, it is because when I talked about gladiolas being about water, the raptors being about earth, and humanity being about air, within our DNA houses the what's the infrastructure that bonds with the heart of Mother Earth, and then Mother Earth creates the atmosphere that is necessary to sustain our life. Okay? And so our water will change, our soil will change, the air that we breathe will change based on our changes from within, our DNA. Okay? This is part of the plan. Okay? And so there's another piece. So again, I said this is a very complex. There's so much information that came in that it's hard for me to make sure I stay on track and talk to you about what needs to be spoken about. And so what just came to me was that within the inside of Mother Earth, I think it was, they said the Anshar that came. Those three groups. There's like a white Caucasian group, an Asian group, and a African black group. Okay. And what came to me this last week was that they're not from this timeline. They're not from this timeline, because in this timeline, the earth will fill with water, and all beings that are not meant to be here will perish and move back to the light, because they're not supposed to be here. They have an opportunity to leave now because they're not supposed to be here, or they can wait for Mother Earth to fill the aquifers. Okay? Because they're not supposed to be here. Okay? So they came from an alternate timeline that did not have a very great outcome to change our timeline so that they could exist here on this planet. Okay? They're not from our timeline. They were never from our timeline. They were not born on this earth. But they want to, because this negative cabal energy gave time travel to different beings on this world. Let's just put it that way. They are aware of our timeline, and they want to become part of this world. They're not becoming part of this world. Anybody existing in the heart of Mother Earth, other than in the innards of Mother Earth, other than the raptors and the beings in the water, gladiolas, they were never supposed to be here. They were meant to perish with their people, or they were never meant to come here. Okay? And so they will leave this planet with everybody else that is not meant to be here. Okay? So let me go back to this transition and this change. This water is going to come and heal the up on the earth, on land, heal our soil, and then new continents are going to rise to the surface. And then I was like, well, how is anybody going to survive that? That's what my question was. And all I was shown was Noah's Ark. I saw Noah's Ark. I saw the people that were meant to get on that earth, on that ark, got on that ark. The animals that were meant to get on that ark got on that ark. Everything that was meant to get on that ark, and I'm just using it as a metaphor. Everybody who was meant to be there was there, and they were saved. Okay? The people who followed the covenant, the promise of the divine, were saved, were protected through that change. Okay? And we're going to be going through another change like that. And the word that kept coming to me, which was very upsetting to hear, was the events that will be coming will be of biblical proportion. The events that we will see coming will be of biblical proportion. This is in Revelation. All the events happening is in Revelation. And people don't want to believe that we could be living through anything in the Bible. They think of the Bible as something in the past or something that's going to happen in the future, but not happen right now during their lifetime. But this is happening right now during our lifetime. So the other thing was I had a while ago, around my son's birthday, I think, maybe it might have been March or April. I went for a hike with my daughter, and I put my feet in the water, and I had this like really profound spiritual vision, and I connected through my heart to Father, Son, and then to the divine source, and then back down to Mother Earth. And Mother Earth was in this pit, and as soon as I connected to her, she came flying out, kind of like fireworks. And so this past week I was meditating, and that connection was shown to me again about healing, as far as healing. Healing the planet, healing humanity. And so I drew this. Maybe I'll throw this right here. I'll put it in picture. And all it is this spot, this that represents source energy. And then again, in a past video, I talked about it being us considering this source energy to be this massive field or something large, because when we think of this divine source or God or anything, we think of something, larger than life and beautiful and massive, right? But in reality, this source energy is, this source existence is just that. It's just pure existence. It's awareness. It's an awareness. And it's not until it tries to see itself, it knows it exists, right? It's an awareness of its existence. It's awareness of itself. But the second that it tries to look at itself and say, but what am I? What am I? Then reality starts to create, right? we start to see some sort of reality start to form as this divine awareness tries to look at itself as if looking at itself in a mirror. That's where that metaphor of mirroring comes from. Like we being a reflection of the divine. It's the divine source tries to see itself as something and then starts to create a reality based on that perception of what it thinks it sees. And so every existence in this universe is a reflection of what the divine source could potentially be. Meaning me, this couch, my kids, all humanity, each of us represent an aspect of this divine source energy, trying to see itself, what it could possibly be. Okay? So let me get back to this source, that existence, that pinpoint of awareness. It's not even a point, it's not even a particle of energy, it's merely an awareness of existence, okay? And that existence is connected to the sun, and the sun is a black hole, okay? We don't see it that way, but the sun is a black hole. And then through that black hole, that energy from source projects into me to my heart. And then I connect to Mother Earth. Okay, so there is a thread that connects Mother Earth through her creation of humanity, of the beings that exist on this world, through us connecting to source, to the sun, and then to the source, the center of the object of creation. Okay? And what came to me this week was that this negative polarity separated that connection. It severed that connection. It made us see ourselves as separate from source, divine source energy. And so that connection that went from that source to the sun to humanity to earth was severed. And so it started to harm Mother Earth. Okay, harmed us and Mother Earth by creating that severance. Okay, by separating us. Okay. But now at this point we are reconnecting. We are reconnecting to source, sun, heart of humanity back to Mother Earth. And that connection is that reconnection is what is creating the change, the flow of energy. And so we all have to see ourselves as part of the divine. We all have to see ourselves as interconnected. We can't see ourselves as separate. And if people see themselves as separate from one another, the source, all those things, that just means you're not ready to transcend. And there are worlds that will be available to you to transcend. But a majority, the collective, will most likely go back to Cepheus as a whole, to incarnate at that 3D level and start to rediscover themselves from a new perspective on a world that's not as demanding as Earth. Okay? Earth is very, very demanding. But again, it's not impossible. But so this is what came to me. This planet is extremely productive on all levels, mind, body, and spirit. But we can work morning, noon, and night. Humanity, we have access to the full depth and breadth of emotion, intellect, right? Our minds. We are connected on all levels here, okay, on this world. And if you think about cats, right? Think about a cat. A cat sleeps most of the day. It gets up to eat, and then it lays down. It wants to be pet. It goes back to sleep. At night, it gets up. It hunts a little bit, but then it still goes back to sleep. Think about reptiles. They're cold-blooded. When it's cold, they can't move. They stop, right? They're almost paralyzed. When it's hot, that's when they're most productive, right? So if it's cold but there's sunshine, that's when you'll see them laying on a rock that's hot, right? To kind of warm them up so they can go do something. I guess, I don't know. But I know I've seen many reptiles. I saw a snake in my house once, a little one. And when I lived in California, and it didn't move. I'm like, why isn't it trying to get away? Because the house was so cold, it couldn't move. So we just picked it up. It was a garter snake, and we took it outside. But that's just an example. Different beings on different worlds, they're not as productive as we are because their DNA is different than ours. Okay? What they can do is not the same of us. Humanity is unique on many levels, as unique as Mother Earth, as diverse as Mother Earth. It's not just about our energy. You know, I guess it could be broken down to and make it just about our energy. But not only are they feeding off our energy fields, they're feeding off our work ethic. They're feeding off the fact that we can work. My brother used to work 7 days a week. He'd work 2 jobs. And he could do it. It's hard on the mind, it's hard on the body, right? But he did it because he could, and he needed to. We can work a lot of hours and very hard and keep functioning at a high level. We're best when we have sleep and all those other things, but we are profound, powerful, and unique. And this world, it's not just I heard someone on Cosmic Disclosure saying we're a warring people. Excuse me. We are one thing we are is a warring people. We also are extremely intelligent with engineering, mathematics, art, music, science on all levels. We are profound and powerful people. They covet the productivity of humanity. This cabal energy is making out like bandits by keeping us enslaved, or they have, but it's over. As I said in the beginning, you will not continue to enslave humanity. The source said, you will not continue to enslave humanity. You will be removed from this world, and humanity will be freed. And those who have put in the work, who have committed to source energy, who have committed to path and purpose, who have committed to balance, who have committed to driving from the heart, from a place of love and light, will be inheriting the earth. And we will be productive. And this world, even after transcendence, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be easy peasy. We are here to work. We have these abilities because we have a lot of work to do in the universe. We have a lot of work to do in the universe. And those of us who are transcending have proven that we are up to the task. And we have committed fully to path and purpose. And we will drive forward in that endeavor, in that commitment, relentlessly until we fulfill what we are meant to fulfill. We will drive from the heart, from a place of balance. And we will reflect the divine source energy out into the universe. That's what we are here to do. When we talk about that mirror and that divine energy trying to see who it is and what it is, we are reflections of that. And we are meant to reflect that divine source energy from the heart center out into the universe. That's what we're here to do. And so we must move from balance. So this primary cabal energy, the secondary cabal energy that's trying to maintain control and say, we're here to help you, we're going to have this cryptocurrency, it'll make everything fair, we're going to have this quantum currency, it'll make everything fair, we're looking out for you. We will move away from currency. There will be no currency. There will be balance. There will be honoring of one another. There will be living from love and light, compassion, kindness, tolerance, truthfully, not verbally. We're not going to be, it's not going to be lip service. This will be the way of this world. And those of us who have committed to path and purpose will be inheriting the earth. And if those who are not ready, it's not punishment. This is just how the source works. This source divine energy works. If you're not ready to transcend and your vibration isn't that matched with that of Mother Earth, then you will transcend on another world. You will work towards transcendence on another world. But there is no room for error on this world. And this was, we knew this thousands of years ago. The Bible tells us, Jesus asked us to walk our path and purpose and fulfill the covenant of our divine source of God. Every religion on this planet has some story to that effect, or some lesson. Muhammad, right? Muhammad, the Muslim, Buddha, you know, there's a story or a teaching or a lesson or a parable about this in every religious text. We were all told, and we had all this time to find our way. And now it's time. Now's the time. So I'm not shown anything specific other than knowing that the water's going to rise, fill the earth, and there will be new continents. I don't know. I'm not allowed to see that's what's going to happen specifically, but I do see the beauty that follows. I am allowed to see that. So I think we're going to end the video here. Thank you.